Hi sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name is Beth, and if you're new, welcome. Last time I was with you, I put this quilt top together and I had a lot of little leftover half square triangles. There's the right side. I'm going to use those little half square triangles. I'm going to make another project. Let's get started. Here are the half square triangles that I ended up with after harvesting from my quilt top, the quilt that I was working on last time. As I was making my blocks, I added a second seam as I was adding squares to the ends of those strips there, and I just cut between the two seams and I had a leftover half square triangle. I did that for that whole quilt and I ended up with about 126 little half square triangles. And when I went to trim them, most of them, all but two actually, I was able to trim to 1 3/4 inch size, 1 3/4 inch squares, using my small ruler, putting that diagonal line on the seam, and I got quite a few of these little half square triangles out of that project. After getting them all trimmed, I just laid them out on my cutting mat and tried to decide how I would arrange them. Just wasn't sure. I didn't think I wanted to lay them out all the same way. I think we did that recently on the channel and I thought maybe let's change it up a little bit. So I started here and then I started turning and twisting them around to see what I might like. This is what I ended up with these, all the dark triangles pointing at each other, sort of making a square on point. But I did think about making some stars with those half square triangles. So here's another idea. But I first started by just putting two of my half square triangles together. I even thought about using sort of a flying geese pattern with just two together and having them all go the same direction. So I almost just did flying geese, but then in the end I decided on 4 of my triangles together to make a square on point. And if somebody has the name of that quilt block pattern, I'd love to know the name. These 4 half-square triangles sewn together created a 3-inch square. I thought that I would have enough of these squares for 4x4 little table mat, and I did, and I had more. So I had to decide how I was going to grow this little table mat. My goal in size is 20 inches or thereabouts, 18 to 20 some inches for a table mat. And I counted up and I had enough to make another row of squares, so I added squares all around to make this little table mat 5 by 5. I wanted to grow it just a little bit more, so I cut some strips from my cotton sheet that I've been using for the background. I cut my strips 1 3/4 inch wide, longer than I needed, and when I added the first 2 strips, they needed to be 13.5 inches long. So those 3-inch blocks sewn together in rows of 5 created a 13.5 inch square. And so I added strips to 2 sides and strips to the other side, which were 16 inches. And then I worked around with a few of my half square triangles. I had, let's see, I think 24 left over, and I used them all up. You can see I just pointed my half square triangles at each other in the corner there. I need one little square that is 1 3/4 inch to match the size of my half square triangles. And then the strips at the end, I just made them too long. I attached them to my little table mat and then I cut off the excess. So I added those half square triangles, those leftover half square triangles, to opposite corners of my little quilt, and I just love the way this turned out. It's so pretty, and I used up every single little leftover piece to make this pretty table mat. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.